All right, so today we're going to really dig into this new Ontario Not-for-Profit Corporations Act, the ONCA.
Yeah.
You sent over a whole guide on this huge changes for Ontario nonprofits.
Huge changes, yeah. A lot of modernization. It's a big step for the sector, for sure.
Yeah, and it really does cover everything. Governance, transparency, day-to-day operations. It's really a complete overhaul.
It is. It's like taking, I don't know, like a vintage car
Okay.
that's charming but a little outdated
Yeah.
and trading it in for a brand new electric model.
Okay, I like that.
You know, so there's a bit of a learning curve for sure, but the potential is huge.
Yeah. So with that analogy in mind, let's break this down for our listeners. We're talking about board members, staff, volunteers, anyone really involved or just interested in how nonprofits in Ontario work.
Right.
Why should they care about this new act?
Because it really does impact everyone. This isn't just about, shuffling paperwork around. This is about making sure that these organizations have what they need, the tools to really thrive. These organizations are so vital, the heart and soul of a lot of communities.
Yeah, and it really is like we're switching out the entire rule book for these organizations.
Yeah.
Some things are simplified, other things are stricter, and some things are just different.
Definitely.
So we're going to unpack the biggest changes, those need-to-know details, point out any surprises.
For sure.
So first up, remember those letters patent?
Oh, yeah.
That was basically a nonprofit's permission slip to exist. Gone.
Yeah, they're out.
Out the window. What are they replaced with?
Articles of incorporation.
Okay, so at first glance, it kind of just seems like we're swapping one jargony term for another.
Yeah.
What's the significance? What's really going on there?
It's more about, I think, self-determination. With letters patent, the government was kind of granting you the right to operate.
Mm-hmm.
Articles of incorporation are more about the organization, kind of, like drafting its own...
Declaration.
Yeah, like a Declaration of Independence.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
So less about jumping through bureaucratic hoops and more about really asserting the organization's identity and autonomy.
Exactly.
I like it.
And speaking of simplifying things, those power clauses.
Oh, don't get me started on the power clauses.
Yeah.
I once spent an entire week
Oh, I know.
trying to help a friend decipher one for their organization.
Right.
It was like, I needed a law degree
Exactly.
to figure this thing out.
Well, and most people did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good news is the ONCA has streamlined this significantly.
Okay, good.
So essentially now, nonprofits have the same powers as an individual.
Okay.
They can essentially do anything a person can do within legal limits, of course.
Right.
But gone are the days of spelling out every single action in detail.
So much simpler.
Yeah.
And hopefully less work for everybody involved.
Exactly, yeah.
That's a win for efficiency.
Huge. Yeah.
Okay, so no more endless power clauses, more flexibility for organizations to adapt.
Right.
Sounds good so far.
Yeah, and it gets even more interesting, I think, with the introduction of what's called public benefit corporations.
Okay.
Or PBCs.
PBC.
It's a new way of classifying nonprofits.
Right, PBCs. Got it. But, before we get into the details, can you just give us explain it to me like I'm 5 version?
Okay.
What is a PBC? Why should our listeners care?
Okay, so think of it this way. Imagine 2 piggy banks.
Okay.
One is for your kid's lemonade stand, and the other one is for the local community center.
Okay.
The lemonade stand's pretty straightforward. You sell lemonade, you make money.
Right.
Now, the community center, that's more like a PBC. They might get funds from different sources, donations, renting out space for events.
Okay. Yeah, I see where you're going with this.
Maybe they have a cafe. They've got different things going on.
So it's not as simple as just straightforward earned income. It's this,
It's more about, I think, a broad public benefit.
Okay.
And so with those different revenue streams coming in, that's where the ONCA kind of steps in
Okay.
and takes a closer look at how those funds are managed.
So greater financial support, but also greater responsibility.
Absolutely.
And I'm guessing greater scrutiny.
Yes, definitely. And this is one of the big things, is the ONCA introduces stricter financial review requirements for PBCs.
Okay.
And so there are thresholds based on the organization's revenue.
Yeah. Okay.
So, for example, let's say you're non-charitable PBC. It brings in less than $100,000 annually.
Okay.
You have some flexibility in deciding if you want to have an audit or not. But if you're pulling in over $500,000...
That's when it's time for a deep dive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this could mean that organizations might shift from, a full-blown audit
Okay.
where every single transaction is examined to what's
Alright.
called a review engagement.
Okay. And a review engagement, for those of us who don't know all the lingo, what does that actually mean?
Yeah, so it's, uh, think of it like visiting your doctor for a checkup versus going to the hospital to get a whole battery of tests done.
Okay.
So the doctor's kind of checking for anything glaringly wrong,
Right.
but not necessarily scrutinizing every tiny little detail.
Okay.
So in a review engagement, it's a similar thing. They're looking for red flags, not necessarily combing through every receipt.
Got it. Okay. So maybe some cost savings there for smaller PBCs.
Yeah,
But the key is still transparency, accountability,
definitely.
even if it's a slightly less intense review.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, what about, let's talk about the board of directors.
Okay.
The people who are actually steering the ship, making the decisions.
Right.
The ONCA does not hold back when it comes to their roles and responsibilities.
No, it doesn't. We're talking about how many directors, qualifications, term limits, even compensation, which is a tricky one.
Yeah.
So let's break it down a little bit.
Okay.
So first of all, no more like tiny two-person boards.
Yeah.
The ONCA says minimum 3 directors, no exceptions.
Okay, so we've got to have at least 3 people on the board.
At least 3.
It's not just about filling the seats, though, right?
Yes.
There are rules about who can actually serve as a director, too.
Yeah. And it's all about ensuring that the folks in charge have sound judgment
Okay.
and, they're financially responsible.
Yeah.
So, for example, you can't be a director if,
Yeah.
you've been deemed incapable of managing your own affairs
Okay.
or if you're an undischarged bankrupt.
That makes sense. Nobody wants to hand over the reins to someone who's struggling with their own financial affairs.
Exactly.
So, stricter rules, but again, all with that aim of greater accountability, greater transparency.
Absolutely. And it gets a little more nuanced, too, when it comes to organizations that are also registered charities.
Okay.
There are even stricter rules, especially when it comes to receiving any financial benefits from the charity itself.
So, no double dipping.
Exactly, yeah.
Can someone, be a permanent fixture on a board under the ONCA? Are there term limits?
Well, so the ONCA doesn't put a specific cap on how long you can serve,
Okay.
but it does give organizations the power to set their own term limits
Okay.
in their bylaws. But any single term can't be longer than 4 years.
Okay, so no more emperors for life on these boards.
Right.
Which is probably a good thing, right? Keeps
Yeah.
things fresh.
Exactly, yeah. And it ensures a wider range of voices and perspectives over time.
Now, speaking of having a voice, we can't forget about the members,
Yes?
the folks who make up, the base of these organizations.
Right.
They're getting a power up under the ONCA, wouldn't you say?
100%, yeah. The ONCA significantly expands member rights, particularly when it comes to holding directors accountable.
Okay, how so?
So remember how we were talking about removing a director?
Yeah.
Well, under the old rules, it required a 2/3 majority vote
Yeah.
from the members. ONCA changes that to a simple majority.
Wow. That's huge.
It is big, yeah.
Yeah.
And it really just underscores how important the ONCA thinks member engagement is.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just have members in name only anymore.
Right.
Organizations need to be prepared for a more active, engaged base.
It's about building a true partnership,
Exactly.
not just kind of a one-way street.
Right.
But as we all know, with great power come...
Great responsibility.
Exactly. So we were talking about greater responsibility for members under ONCA.
Right.
And it's not just about, having the power to remove a director, right?
No, not at all. It's about really being informed and engaged, ready to exercise
Yeah.
your rights as a member.
Okay.
And the ONCA makes it clear. Members have the right to access key documents,
Mm-hmm.
articles of incorporation, those bylaws we talked about,
Mm-hmm.
even the organization's financial statements.
Okay.
They can submit proposals to change the bylaws, raise important issues.
So no more passive bystanders.
Right.
Members really have a seat at the table. Their voices deserve to be heard.
Exactly. And I think it creates a whole new ballgame for both sides because organizations can't just assume their members are going to stay silent and uninvolved.
Right.
They need to really foster that engagement.
Create that open communication.
Exactly. Be ready to listen.
It's a two-way street.
Yes.
Speaking of which, let's talk about the time crunch facing these organizations because
Right.
they have to get on board with these new rules.
They do. The clock is ticking.
It is ticking.
They've had since October 2021 to bring their governing documents in line.
Hmm.
So that's a 3-year window.
Yeah,
Might seem like a while, but it can really sneak up.
it does. Time flies when you're, overhauling your entire governance structure.
Right. Exactly.
But seriously, this isn't just a copy-paste job.
No, not at all. I see this as a real opportunity,
Read it.
actually, for organizations to kind of hit the reset button. It's a chance to really look at their current structures and say, does this still work for us?
Yeah.
Does this reflect who we are and where we want to go?
It's like spring cleaning
Yes.
for your organization, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Get rid of the cobwebs.
Get rid of what's not serving you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Create a more efficient system. Where do you even begin? This has got to feel overwhelming.
It can. And I think one of the biggest mistakes organizations make is jumping in without really understanding the ONCA.
Okay.
It's not enough to just skim the surface.
Right.
They really need to roll up their sleeves, do their homework. You wouldn't, try to navigate a new city without a map.
Exactly. And that map is understanding the ONCA.
Exactly.
And for our listeners, we'll be sure to link any good resources from the Ontario government on our website so you guys can really dig in.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great. And, you don't have to go it alone.
Right.
Getting some legal counsel can be really valuable, especially someone who specializes in nonprofit law.
They can help you navigate the ONCA and really tailor it for your organization's needs.
Exactly.
What about internal communication? I imagine that's got to be a big one.
Oh, huge. This can't happen in a vacuum. Organizations need to bring their boards, their staff, their volunteers, everyone along with them.
It's making sure everyone understands the changes and how they fit into the bigger picture.
Yeah, otherwise it's like trying to play a game without knowing the rules, right?
Exactly. And don't forget about your members.
Right.
Keep them informed.
Exactly. This is a two-way street.
Give them a chance to ask questions.
For sure.
Address their concerns.
It's about partnership.
Exactly. And you mentioned documenting this whole process. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, it's all about creating a clear paper trail.
Okay.
So we're talking about documenting board meeting minutes where these decisions are made, resolutions for new governing documents, any communication with those members we talked about.
So basically, if it has to do with ONCA, write it down.
Yes, exactly. And this isn't just about checking a box. This documentation can be really important down the line if any questions or disputes arise.
It's like that old saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Exactly.
Okay, so we talked about the pitfalls, but what about solutions?
Right.
What are some ways to make this easier?
Well, first and foremost, I would say assemble a transition team.
Okay.
Think of them as your ONCA All-Stars.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah, this is a group of people who really understand the organization, its day-to-day operations, its vision, and of course the ONCA itself.
They're the project managers.
Exactly.
For making sure it all runs smoothly.
Yes. And then, once you have your A-team assembled, conduct a thorough self-assessment.
Okay, so it's time for some organizational introspection.
Yes, exactly. This means taking a hard look at your organization. Ask yourself, do your bylaws still work? Are the board's roles clearly defined? Are we engaging our members?
So it's turning this compliance exercise into an opportunity to actually improve.
Exactly.
I like that.
And remember, the ONCA is a framework. It's not a straitjacket.
Right. It's not one size fits all.
Right. You can tailor it to reflect your own priorities. The ONCA gives you flexibility. You can customize things like membership classes and voting rights, and even how your board meetings are run.
So find that balance between compliance and customization.
Exactly. And finally, I can't stress enough the importance of education.
Right.
This is not a one-time thing.
Ongoing education and training.
Yes, ongoing.
The nonprofit world is constantly changing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just about staying informed. It's about creating a culture of improvement. Regularly review your practices, look for professional development opportunities, stay curious.
So build a learning organization, be adaptable, be resilient. And on that note, we've covered a lot. We talked about the nitty-gritty details, PBCs, director qualifications, but also this bigger picture of member engagement and organizational self-assessment.
Right.
Before we jump into what this all means for the sector as a whole, any final thoughts on navigating this transition?
I think just don't be afraid to ask for help.
So we've talked about all the details of ONCA, the to-do list, what to watch out for. Right.
What does this all actually mean? How could this law reshape the entire nonprofit sector in Ontario?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? But I think one thing's for sure, we're going to see a much bigger focus on good governance.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
ONCA really lays down the law, literally.
Right.
About how these organizations need to run.
No more kinda figuring it out as you go.
Exactly, yeah. And that might seem like a burden to some.
Yeah.
But I think it's ultimately a good thing.
I think so too.
Right.
When nonprofits are transparent and accountable, it just builds trust.
Because let's face it, nobody wants to support an organization that seems shady or disorganized.
Right.
Donors, funders, they want to know their money's being used well.
Exactly. And that's where ONCA comes in. When you've got clear rules about finances, conflict of interest, board oversight, it's like the organization can say, look, we're taking this seriously. We're doing things the right way. Yeah. It's a stamp of approval. Do you think it could change how nonprofits actually work? Like how they relate to each other even?
Yeah, I do. I think one of the exciting things here is that we might see a more collaborative sector overall.
Interesting. How so?
Well, ONCA really stresses communication, member engagement, planning ahead.
Yeah.
It's pushing organizations to think bigger than themselves.
Right.
It's not enough to just work in your own little silo anymore. It's about partnerships, sharing resources, tackling those big problems together.
So a more interconnected sector.
Exactly. And I think that's where the innovation comes in too, right?
Okay.
When organizations can learn from each other, share what works, try new things, that's how we move forward.
Yeah. Instead of everyone constantly reinventing the wheel.
Exactly.
It's like, let's share the blueprints or even build a better wheel together.
Yeah. It's still early, obviously.
Right.
We'll have to see how it all plays out. But I'm optimistic. I think this could be a real turning point for nonprofits in Ontario.
Yeah.
A chance to be even more effective.
I like that vision. And for any of our listeners who might be feeling overwhelmed, just remember, you don't have to do this alone.
You don't.
There's help out there, resources, experts, people who can guide you.
Definitely, yeah.
So don't hesitate to reach out.
And if today's conversation has just made you more curious or maybe left you with some questions,
Yeah.
don't be afraid to reach out to a professional. It can be a little bit of a bumpy road to get ONCA compliant, but with the right help, it doesn't have to be.
It can really be a positive thing for your organization in the long run.
Absolutely.
And on that note, we'll leave you with this. How might this focus on members, on giving them more say, actually change a relationship between nonprofits and the communities they're serving?
Something to think about.
This has been such a great discussion. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today.
Oh, my pleasure.
And to all our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.